We're talking to lots of holidaymakers on Heartland Quay on the show yesterday, and also at Bude Seapool as well, just to name a couple of locations. A little too much liquid refreshment, though, can mean that our town and city centres can see people who are, shall we say, a little worse for wear. Maybe you've been one of those people, and that's where my Have Faith guest can help. On the show today, her name is Laura Gallagher from the Christian-based Feet on the Street group in Falmouth. I'm pleased to say she joins us on the line. Morning, Laura. How's Falmouth looking this morning?
Good morning, Matt. Thanks so much for having me on. It's absolutely glorious here in paradise.
Costa del Paradise, absolutely. You can't go wrong with that. Now, listen, tell me about the kind of work that you and your group do in Falmouth.
Yes, so I'm part of a fantastic group of volunteers called Feet on the Street. We've been going for just over 7 months now, and we wander about the streets of Falmouth into the small hours on a Saturday night in teams of 3 or 4. We have a little rucksack which is full of all sorts of useful items like water, sweets, a flask of hot coffee, foil blankets, basic first aid, a dustpan and brush for broken glass. We have a radio so that the security teams can contact us if they need our help. And our main role really is just to be a practical, hands-on help for people on the street who may be vulnerable. May have had too much to drink, maybe lost their friends, that kind of thing. And being a listening ear for them as well. A lot of them just want to chat, to be honest. It's a lot of conversations.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's easy to fall into that trap, and I hold my hands up. I've had a few nights out in Falmouth, and it can get quite lively. But is it always connected with alcohol? I mean, do you have people who haven't been drinking that need your help and support?
Yes, definitely. There are people who are sober, whose friends are under the influence, who would like our help. There's a lot of those, which is quite nice to see because there's not too many people totally alone. They seem to be in groups. There are people that are just lonely. There's homeless people that are that are keen to have a chat. There are people that are just wandering through and they want to know who we are, and they just stop and say, what are you doing? What are you guys up to? So, I'd say probably more than half the people are just basically under the influence, though. That's the bulk of our clients.
Goodness me. Yeah. Okay. And they come for that kind of support. I mean, I've been out with, because Devon have the street pastors, and I've been out with them. Goodness, it was many years ago now, but this was on Torquay Harbourside on a Saturday night, and my word was, that lively. But they also had a kind of van where it provided a safe space for people to come, and quite often, they'd have young people that had lost their shoes, didn't know where their shoes were, and they're walking around in bare feet, so they provided flip-flops and that kind of thing. Is that the kind of approach you take in Falmouth, Laura?
That is exactly what we do, and many people will run up to us and say, you're the flip-flop people, I remember you, because even though we've got a different name, we're Feet on the Street, we are modelled on street pastors, and that's very closely aligned with what they do. We're just an independent group of volunteers, which makes it easier to train people and recruit people, but flip-flops are just such a simple thing that we have handed out many, many times, and it is almost... The people are overwhelmed with gratitude that have got the very painful sore feet and trying to get home up the cobble street hills of Falmouth. So, simple things like that can be, people will remember you. They'll say, do you want some money? Why are you giving these away for free? We say, no, it's fine, just take them, enjoy the rest of your night.
How are they funded then? I mean, where does the money come from?
It comes from donations from the public, so people can go onto our website if they want to help us. But we're a very low-budget organisation. We don't need lots of money. We're very simple. Our volunteers tend to turn up and bring their own sweets. Sometimes the shops will donate water and sweets to us. And the initial outlay of us all having our, high-vis vests and our little rucksack, that's all done now. Yeah. So all those costs are taken care of. So, yeah.
Talk to me, Laura, about the sweet thing. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Well, it's normally
The
kind of,
sweets.
suck on a lollipop or whatever. What is that
Yeah.
about? How does that help?
I mean, quite one of my lines was people say, "Why are you here? What are you doing?" And I say to them, "I have been sent to bring you a jelly baby." And it's a really good opening line. It can
Isn't it
be,
just?
it makes them laugh and it just opens up a conversation. But we now have to take sweets that are individually wrapped, of course, for hygiene
Of
reasons.
course,
But
yeah.
some people are really, if they're really, really drunk and they almost look asleep and they're not doing too well, a little bit of sugar can give them the energy they need just to rouse them a little bit. And it can be more of an icebreaker, having sweets and handing them out it's a sort of free, simple gift, and people seem to be very grateful. And then it enables us to have a chat, with them.
It's a conversation starter, bit of an
I think
icebreaker.
that's,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
Listen, in a moment, we'll talk about how your faith plays into this volunteering and this kind of work.
Yeah.
However, we always ask our Have Faith guest on a Sunday morning here on the show to choose a piece of music, and you've chosen some Coldplay. Why is that, Laura?
Yeah. Yes, I've chosen "Fix You" by Coldplay because I am blessed with three beautiful daughters, and our first baby, she took a while. She was our miracle baby. It wasn't easy, and each child, we've actually got a song for each child, which my husband chose at random. I haven't actually spoken to him about this, but
Okay.
for our first baby, it was Coldplay "Fix You," and it was the birth of my faith as well, because I was raised an atheist, which we'll talk about in a minute. And this experience of childbirth was what opened up my mind and started my journey. And the lyrics in particular are "The lights will guide you home, and I will try to fix you." They really speak to me now when I look back and think, wow, that was just, it was a coincidence. But now when I look at the lyrics, they are so relevant to that part of my life.
Oh, it's just one of their best, isn't it? Coldplay and Fix You, the choice of my Have Faith guest today, Laura Gallagher from the Christian-based Feet on the Street group in Falmouth. How did you feel listening to that, Laura?
Yeah, holding back the tears every time.
It's the lyrics, isn't it? I think it's the lyrics. It's a beautifully written song. I think Chris Martin is an absolute genius when it comes to songwriting. But the whole time, I think when he writes a song, he also thinks about how it's going to work out for a live audience. And I've been really lucky to see Coldplay a couple of times live. And it's a real moment, even in a live environment. You've got a whole audience there with tears streaming down your face as the lyric goes.
Yes, exactly. And that was my husband walking around Asda with our first baby. Tears all over the baby. And he came home and he said, I've got the song.
Why Asda? Can I ask, Laura?
Yeah, we've since moved up to Sainsbury's, actually.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. Or some
We started in Asda.
across. Oh, I see. Got it. Understand. Do you know what? It's very funny because when you were talking about your firstborn, I was thinking about my firstborn, Alice, who is 21 later this year. And I mentioned on the show yesterday that she kind of messaged me from St Ives the other day to say, "Oh, Dad, I'm driving around St Ives," because she's got a driving license. It disappears off in the car. And as a parent, it's like, oh my word, you're worrying about them the whole time. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean you're driving 70 miles an hour on the A30? Please don't. Please keep your eyes on the road.
True.
Yeah.
I wish they were 5 again. It's much scarier when they get to this age, isn't it?
Do you know what? It's far easier changing nappies than it is changing tyres. Or
Exactly
oil in an engine. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They grow up very, very fast. Let's get back to you and your story, Laura. And you've already explained how Feet on the Street works in Falmouth. But we've already said it's Christian-based. So how does your faith play into volunteering and helping others on the street?
Yeah, I feel I'm a sort of frustrated Christian, really. I go to church, but I feel so overwhelmed with all the stuff that's going on and, feel a bit useless. Like, what can I do? I want to do something, but I'm scared to do something, and all those feelings that I'm sure lots of us have. And this was a way for me to actually do something practical and useful with my Saturday night. And what else would I be doing at 3 in the morning apart from sleeping? And now that I've had 3 children in a row, I'm perfectly good at sleep deprivation, so I'm all over it. And I think, it's just like you feel like you're doing something real. It's helpful. You go home at the end of your shift and you think, I'm glad I came out. I really enjoyed it, and I feel like I was a useful person in my community. I helped some people. I made their night better. I could have changed the outcome of their journey almost, So you're having these little, simple conversations, helping people, making sure you ring an ambulance for them, you get them into a taxi, whatever it is you're doing, you just don't know where that's going to lead for them. So you're part of their journey suddenly, coming alongside them, and you're doing something in your own community. We love our town. We love Falmouth. We want to make it safer. We want to make sure everyone's having fun, and you get absorbed in the fun atmosphere. Most of the time, it is a very positive environment.
Yeah.
And people seem to love us. They run up to us and they want to give us money, and they think, why are you doing this for free? It's amazing what you're doing. It's like, it's not really amazing. It's quite simple.
Yeah.
Come and join us.
Yeah. It's basic humanity, actually, isn't it?
Yes, exactly right. That's exactly what it is. I think that's why it works so well. The volunteers enjoy it just as much as the people enjoy having the chats and gaining the help.
Listen, this whole slot, Laura, is have faith, and you do have a faith, but you didn't.
Yes.
You didn't previously. Tell me about that moment.
Yeah, so my parents raised me as an atheist. They were not sort of militant about it at all. They're very relaxed. They were very live and let live people, but they just, that was what they believed, and that was the way I grew up. I do remember my granny taking me to church occasionally, so that was something I do remember. But I then, as I became sort of late teens, early 20s, became quite an angry atheist as well. And I used to argue a lot and, was cross about a lot of things. But so I had that was my view. But my husband has always been a Church of Ireland Protestant Christian, and that was fine. And he was not militant either. So we got married and we had children. But I think the whole struggle with trying to get pregnant, stay pregnant, have a baby, and then when our first child was born, it was such an overwhelming experience. I felt so grateful, but I didn't have I felt like I needed to offer up my gratitude to someone.
Yeah.
I just didn't know where to put my gratitude, and it was overwhelming. And that's a little switch went off in my head, and I suddenly thought, I'm not sure if I believe the story that I've been told my whole life, that we're all just worm food and this is it, and this is all just a big accident. I just couldn't get my head around that, which was my truth at the time. So that enabled me to open up my mind and start to explore what other stories might be out there. And because I come from quite a sort of scientific atheist family, I had to read all the sciencey books first. So I had to sort of I slowly became an intellectual Christian first. It was all in the head. It was all the sort of genome guys, the evolutionary biologists, Christians, I had to read all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then it slowly sank down into my heart, and now it's much more of a personal relationship, and I just feel like I have this companion walking behind me. He's always behind my right shoulder. I just feel like he's just there. Jesus is there. He comes out with us on feet on the street. Sometimes I actually say to people, I don't know if you can see this big fella behind me, but he accompanies us on our shift. And that's what it feels like now.
Laura, you've been an amazing guest this morning, and thank you so much for coming on. And whether you believe or don't believe, I just find your whole story inspirational. Thank you so much for coming on, and hope it's not overly busy in Falmouth for Feet on the Street, but if it is, you'll be there, I'm sure. Many thanks.
We'll be there. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.